Hi, Talia here, and today on I Got Back Up, I'm joined by Corey Cooper. Fulfilling his dreams of working in the entertainment industry, Corey was diagnosed with two cancers at once and then had a stroke, which took partial eye vision away. But Corey has faced his fears and challenges head on, not letting them end him. So, Corey, when you hear the phrase, I got back up, what does it make you think and feel?
It makes me feel that I made a choice to be strong, and that choice came from within, and it came from having the support of other people, rooting for me, praying for me, and living up to the challenge. When you're faced with these kind of challenges, I think you know that you have to do something. You can run away from it, or you could take it head on. So I made the choice of getting up to it and meeting it and facing fears that go along with it, and to say to myself, this is a challenge that's been given to me at this stage of my life. I can meet it or I cannot meet it. And I chose to meet it.
That's a really interesting way of putting it because in life, I believe we all have a choice. Everything we do, we have a choice, and strength is a choice. We can choose, everyone's strong. Every single human being is strong, but we all have a choice to find that strength and to then bring it out. And you're right, everything that happens to us, we have a choice. We can go A or B, one way or the other. We can be a victim to something, or we can, not be a victim. And yeah, that's a really interesting way of putting it. So, with all of that in mind, I want you to take everyone listening and watching to where to just take us back to where you most think resonates with who you are and who you've become, but the point in your life where you want to start this.
Yeah. Wow. I grew up in New York City, so I was exposed to the entertainment business by it being there, and especially in the 1970s, there was a great deal of it being there, like I'm sure that it was in London too. Um, on school holidays, my mother took us to the NBC 30 Rock, and we went on the tour. And then, because of seats needed to be filled in the TV shows, they allowed us to come in and watch some TV shows. So that was a big part of my life. That got me interested in the business. I think I already knew that I wanted to get into announcing,
Hmm.
even being very young, and I like idolized the announcer and the host, and it was just so much fun, um, watching those shows and seeing them live, and just the camaraderie of it. Uh, yeah, I think my mother recognized um, that I was really, really into that business, because we would go like once a year or maybe even twice a year. Um, it was just so enjoyable going with her, taking the train into the city, um, and going to these TV stations. So that made it all the more difficult to lose her at a relatively early age, when I did some years later.
And then, I mean, obviously, when you say it like that, with everything, the memories that you have with your mother, and how it brought you into everything that you've done since in your career and everything that you're doing today. It's when you look back on those moments in time, especially when you're younger, and they're like core memories that you will always hold on to, that also shape us and they change our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff stays with you. I think as you get older, you remember those really good, kind of feelings that make you feel warm,
Mhm.
because when you're an adult and you're dealing with stress, and you really are reaching out for a warm feeling, you
Mm,
go back to that,
mm,
and you think about, man, how much I had so much fun doing that. I enjoyed that so much, and it seemed like the sun was shining and people were getting along. Yeah, it was just such wonderful memories. I think a lot of times when we're dealing with stress, whether it be business or family or what have you, bad memories of uh, thinking that you're a failure, or having memories like that can pop up, but the real core memories of what makes you are those memories of family, friends, and who you really are.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I was very introverted when I was a child. When I was a kid, I was like only talked to so many people. I was very quiet. I was able to listen really well to others, and I think even now at this age, I'm still the same person.
mm,
But the broadcast business brings you out where you have to be a personality. You need to be a personality to get a message across and to entertain people.
mhm, mhm. I think you made a really important point there when you said about holding on and looking at those memories, because when you are going through a dark phase, a dark time, a dark moment, if all you can do is hold on to that, whether it's tiny or big, if you can hold on to that memory, whatever it might be, or memories plural, and it gives you even the tiniest bit of warmth at that time of darkness, it can keep you going, it can give you hope, it can just keep you, it can just keep the smile on your face somewhat.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's important. That's important to keep your sanity that way,
Mm,
because when your head gets filled with stress and you have so many things that are just going on at one time, it's like it's important to reach out and have those good memories, and also remember, wow, what are the things that I really like to do. uh, I like to audio record. I like to mix. I like to mix music. I like to travel.
mm,
Um, yeah, so it's important to think about things like that and kind of put it on a plate, or make a bucket list, or just think about, in a couple of months I'm going to go to wherever.
mhm.
um, and it's something to take your mind off all the clutter that's going on in your head, and to look forward to something.
No, I agree. I agree. It's nice to have something to look forward to, no matter what it is. It's nice to, even if it's having coffee, in the morning, the next day with
Right.
yourself or with somebody. It's always nice to have something, no matter how big or small, to look forward to. And then what's next in your story?
um My story, being that I read about you, and you went through a lot with two knee surgeries, and you overcame it by, doing what you're doing and running and hiking and things like that, and that's marvelous. I got diagnosed with two cancers in 2010, um, 2 in 1 year, and the diagnosis was just about a month or a month and a half apart. So I knew one of them was advanced thyroid cancer that went into my lymph nodes, and the other was a rare type of stomach tumor, which really isn't found very often, and it was very deep in my stomach. So at that time, I knew that I had to take it head on, and I needed to address it. And I was relatively new at a broadcast company in the states that does business internationally. So I would do business internationally and nationally every day. And it was very difficult, to tell management that I have cancer and I need to take time off. But it's either you take it head on, or you can run away, and people do run away, and then it gets worse, and then you may not make it to a certain age or a younger age. Fortunately, at that time, at the beginning of the year, I had chose to go to a church that was local in Atlanta that I just knew by driving by. And this is how I picked it. I drove by and I would see it and it looked nice. So I thought, you know, I haven't done this kind of thing in a very long time. I think I'm going to stop in and give it a try. And my first day there, the people were so welcoming to me and so helpful. So when I began that year of breaking my foot on my ankle, some of the older folks offered to drive me around, take me shopping. I mean, just the outpour was just so much. And when I had the cancer diagnosis and I told the pastor, he said, okay, we're going to gather around um, and we'll hold hands and we'll pray for you. And they did Sunday after Sunday. Um, Before my surgery and after my surgery. And I think that was a big reason why I was able to go through it and like go into surgery without being very afraid. Yeah, I was nervous, but without being really very afraid because I had all these folks that were in my mind pulling for me, rooting for me, and praying for me. That was like very crucial.
Mm. I mean, it's amazing just to hear how many people came together for you to pray for you each week, and for you to know that that was happening, and to be, obviously, I'm sure, still somewhat scared but confident going into your surgeries, knowing that you had these people behind you and a support network. Again, no matter how big or small, sometimes it is just having one person there, but the support network is so important in anything that's going on. And speaking and talking and just putting up your hands and going, I'm suffering with something. I need help, even if it's just praying for me. You don't have to talk about it with me, just, and that you go through it in your different ways. Sometimes people just need a hug. It doesn't matter what you do or don't need, but you have, I think, for anyone listening, and obviously you experience this firsthand, is you were never alone in this world. Never, ever, ever, ever. And for you to find that church that year and then have all these people behind you, you are never ever alone, ever, even if you think you are. And there's always someone out there, wherever they might be in the world. You may not have even met them yet, but they can end up being the biggest support in your life when you do meet them, or having, you may already know them. And knowing that is a very important point. Um, and then looking at, so this is 2010. You just quickly mentioned as well, you started the year breaking your, was it your ankle?
My ankle and my foot, yes.
Yeah.
On a with a rare snow and ice storm in Atlanta, Georgia. And then, going out in the afternoon because I wanted to see, my team in the football playoffs. I thought, "Okay, I'll go out to lunch, I'll pick up lunch, and I'll bring it back." And sure enough, I get out of my car and I slip and I was lying there in the parking lot for an hour and it was 17 degrees. So Celsius, it was like minus 10 or so.
It was cold.
It was cold. It was very cold. And fortunately, a guy who was passing by stopped and he said, let me help you get into the store, into Panera Bread. And his wife was next to him and she was saying, no, don't get involved. Honest to God, she was saying, no, don't get involved. But he did so. And he brought me up the stairs and I uh, sat on a seat waiting for fire rescue
Mm,
to take me to the hospital. Yeah. So that was, I think there was some kind of plan there that happened and I was at church and I needed help and I asked for help and the pastor and the people there just said, "What can we do for you?"
mm,
And then they started taking me around shopping and calling me and saying, do you need us to bring over food or something?"
mm.
It was amazing. It was amazing. If I didn't make that choice of passing by and looking at that place and just saying, "That's a nice place. I think I'll stop in," that would have never happened.
It's amazing, isn't it? That what you just said, if you never drove past and one day thought, you know what, I'm going to give that place a try, everything after it would never have unfolded the way it did. And I think actually that when you put it into a wider perspective, that can come with every decision that we have in life, whatever it might be, whatever the decision is. If we see something or an opportunity comes to us, and there could have been many a reason that you didn't go in that day, for whatever it might be. And for anyone in life, when it's being given a choice, like you said at the beginning, it's given a choice. You either say yes or no, you do it, you don't. And when we're given that opportunity in life, we're given that choice. If we say yes to the opportunity or the person or the job or the church, whatever, I mean, whatever it is, we have absolutely no idea, which is what I think is incredibly exciting. We have no idea where that will then take us in life. The opportunities that happen, the miracles that happen afterwards, the amazing things that happen afterwards. And I think it also then comes down to as well, but that comes down to fear. Sometimes if we're too scared for whatever our own reasons are, because we've all got our own reasons for not doing things, believe me. But
Mhm.
if we then don't do the reasons because of our fear, we are constantly letting our own fear get in the way. But if we take that step out of that comfort zone and we think, hey, you know what? I'm going to do that thing. Something's pulling me towards it. It means it's for you. So if you feel that pull, you got to go towards it.
Yeah, because there was a little part of me saying, I can go there. Maybe they won't be friendly. Maybe no one will talk to me, and I'm going there with faith to pray, but I'm also going there to kind of meet people, and maybe no one will talk to me. Maybe they'll be older. Maybe they'll be younger.
Yeah,
That kind of went through,
yeah,
and then I just said, yeah. I'm gonna go in and check it out.
yeah.
There are cars in the lot. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah, exactly. And if we let our own fears and insecurities and excuses get in the way, because they're all our own excuses, or what happens if this, what happens if that. Oh, it's the classic, well, okay, yes, what happens if something might go wrong, but what happens if it all goes right? What happens if it ends up being better than you ever expected? you know Everyone worries about the what if in a bad sense, but what if the good things come from it? So, and then moving on to your diagnosis, what were the symptoms for both?
Wow, with thyroid cancer, and I want to get this word out to everyone who's listening that it cannot, it doesn't have to be very prominent. You don't have to feel very tired and weak, or you don't have to feel extremely hyper, because there are two types of thyroid uh, things. Um, for me, it was I went swimming in Florida, and I went back up to my room, and I took a look in the mirror, and it seemed like something popped out of my neck. It seemed that way, but it may have been there for a while. Um, and I thought, oh, this seems odd, but it's probably a muscle. You know, I hate to be like a guy and blowing it off, but a lot of people blow these things off. I went back to Atlanta and I went to see my primary care doctor, and he said, "What is this?" And I said, "Yeah, it's probably something popped out." He said, "No, I would get that checked out and I would do it pretty soon." I thought, "Oh, whoa, what are you talking about?" But I did, and sure enough, I um, went to see a specialist, and he said, "Yeah, we need to do some testing." And the testing is a bit invasive. I don't want to scare people, but it wasn't terribly painful. I got it done. And sure enough, it showed that I had, that was the biggest tumor, and I had multiple, I think like 9 that went across, and it had, spread into my lymph nodes. Again, I didn't seem like I felt much more tired or much more hyperactive than what I normally feel. Um, but I just the timing, I decided to take his advice rather than running.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, so what I will say to the audience and what I will say to anyone is if you see something, say something. That became big after 9/11 in the States because of the attacks. But it applies with your health. If you feel something or you see something that seems out of the ordinary, say something. Go to the doctor. The doctor doesn't make you less of a person. And I think that that's a message that I want to get to guys that the doctor doesn't make you less of a man or less of a person to get checked out. It makes you a man that you're facing up to it and that you're taking it head on and that you're doing something about it and that you want to take care of yourself uh, and your family, your wife, your kids, your partner, what have you. Be there for your friends, but be there for yourself to go on. And that's the choice I made then.
mm. I agree. If you do see something, and we were talking about this actually off camera before, if you do see something, you have to say something because people are very scared if they do see something, because then they're obviously very scared of, well, what if? But you said this before actually. Go to the doctor because if it is something bad, you'd rather find out sooner than much later down the line. But why do you think we as humans run? Why do you think that we run from these things?
There's fear. I mean, really, there's fear that's embedded in ourselves, and I think no matter if you feel that it's just innately embedded, or you think it's the devil or what have you, that we have fear. When I was a child, I really feared death, and I was like afraid. I had lost both of my grandfathers at a relatively early age, who came from who fled European countries and landed in England for a while. So they came to America from England, and that's where my last name got changed to what it is. Um, but I was like very afraid to lose other people, and I was very fearful of death, and I was like very young.
Mm,
So I think that this is something that's just innately in us, fear. Um, and then it could be fear of talking to people, thinking that if you talk to them, they will judge you as a lesser person and not as good as to talk to them.
mm,
They'll reject you. Fear of going to school and not succeeding at everything, not succeeding in sports, uh, fear of having a partner, getting married. There's fear that's out there, and we can look it in the eye and take it on and say, I'm stronger than you and I'm stronger than this, or you can run. And if you make the choice of running, uh, we're not we're not criticizing you because it's tough. It's tough to deal with this stuff.
mhm,
But the better choice is take it on, be yourself, and be there for yourself.
mhm. Yep. It's a very, very nice way of putting it. You're right. You never we've all probably run. I know I've run from things. We've all run from things in life, but never feel bad at yourself for running and never criticize someone else for running because everyone's got a deeper reason and a meaning to why they're doing something. You know, you might know on the outside what's going on in someone's life, but no one really knows what's going on deep, deep down inside someone's mind and life. And so, um, but again, it goes back to having a choice. You do have the choice. And we said this before, but we are all so much stronger than we realize. You know, a lot of people say to me about my accident, what I went through, they say, oh, I could have never have gone through what you've been through. And I actually think, yeah, anyone would be able to, in my opinion, because when the only thing you've got is being strong, if strength's the only thing you've got at the time, then that's what you've got and you find it. Like we said, we're all strong, but we find it. We find that strength. We find the confidence. We find the bravery. We find it inside us and then we bring it out. So when people say things like that, I think we are all capable of being extremely strong and amazing things. We just have to find it within us sometimes.
And I think when they say that to you, you may be compelled to say to them, yes, you can.
Mm.
Yeah, you are strong. Yes, you can take it on. And they may not get that right away. It may take a little bit to sink in and for them to meet it up. But yeah, we are strong. We're here on earth, and whichever way that you feel that we were created, we're here.
Mhm.
So we're here dealing with everyday things that makes us strong.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And then your second diagnosis, what were the symptoms behind that?
Yeah, my digestive system was kind of worse than it normally was, and I think that was hereditary from my mother um, having liver cancer that spread all around and spread to her stomach, but she had a very bad digestive system for years before of her diagnosis. So, with me having a bad digestive system and then kind of feeling something in my stomach that was when food or drink went down, it kind of like stopped in my stomach, and I thought, "This is odd. Is something? Am I feeling this way because I have thyroid cancer and it's spread, or what's going on?" And sure enough, I had to go for more tests, and this I got. This endoscopy was on my birthday, and it's odd because I remember when I was supposed to go into a twilight sleep for this while they were checking me in my stomach, I was like still partially awake. And I was hearing the doctor talk to and to his assistant. And then when he found something that was on a video monitor, he said, "Oh, there it is." And when I woke up, and then they gave me the diagnosis that it was called a GIST. So to educate people about this, GIST, uh, gastrointestinal stromal tumor, and they could be more uncommon or they could be rare, like the one I had. Mine was rare because it was very deep. It wasn't more on the surface like Kate, like Kate's tumor, stomach tumor was.
Mhm,
Um, so mine was very deep, and I knew, okay, I've got one surgery to do. Now I have another, but again, at the same time, um, with what happened to my mother and uh, my aunt, I found that my mother's sister, had like a small thyroid tumor that she had got taken out some years ago when I was younger. Um, so have getting cancer, and my mother's brother, my uncle, had Parkinson's, had early set on Parkinson's. So I wasn't terribly surprised, shocked about getting diagnosed with cancer. I know that sounds a bit kind of morbid, um, but that was it. It was just reality. I wasn't terribly shocked. So I knew what I had to do. Um, and at the same time, I knew that I had to put up with having uh, not feeling really well after I ate for some months because I needed that thyroid surgery first because it had spread and there were so many tumors. So I had that thyroid surgery like the week before Christmas in 2010, and then just about exactly 5 months later, had the stomach surgery. And was it difficult to get over? And did I lose weight? Yes. Those kind of things happen. Um, but I'm here talking to you about the situation 15, 16 years later. So it can be done.
Mhm,
You can you can overcome. Uh, you folks have seen Kate overcome,
mhm,
and you've seen King Charles
mhm,
overcome. So you know that it can be done.
mhm. Yeah, it can. It can be done. I agree with you. It can. And how are you? I mean, we said 15, 16 years later. How are you feeling now? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well enough to, to go out and work and pursue work. It's odd that so many years later you can um, develop certain things, and maybe this is like in conjunction with getting older. So a year or two ago, I developed severe anemia, which that makes you weak to the point that you can't get out of bed.
Mhm,
Fortunately, when that happened to me one morning, I picked up my phone, I called 911, and I went to the local hospital, and they said, "Well, you need a blood transfusion." And I was like, "What?" He said, "No, you need a blood transfusion, and we're gonna look into it now to match you up." And I got a blood transfusion, and then I would go for every few weeks. I would go for infusions, which is IV, and it kind of it gives me iron so that I won't lose a lot of blood. So I've been dealing with that for 2 years now, but I'm pushing on. I'm moving on, and I'm pushing on, and I'm meeting up to it because I don't see that there's an alternative.
mm,
I don't want to give up yet.
mm,
People, and again, it's what we spoke about a few minutes ago. People give up thinking, I'm too old, I'm too tired, I don't have the strength to deal with this. And you know what? Yeah, and I feel the same way. Like very often, like I'm just exhausted with this dealing with this stuff. But at the same time, I say to myself, what's the alternative? I can lie around in bed and do nothing, and then my mind will waste. I don't want to do that.
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a really interesting way of putting it and a really interesting way of thinking about it. And I think that a lot of the times, but again, this goes to any situation, we as human beings give up too easily, too quickly on I'm talking about anything, and I'm sure, when we look back on our lives from when we were much, much younger to, even people we are now, we probably have given up on things too soon in our lives. And there's a point in that stage where you can give up for a load of different reasons. Too tired, too old, too young, too this, too that, whatever it might be. Or you don't give up, You just push through that barrier, that boundary. You just take that one more step. I mean, it's when you think about, okay, you can try something 100 times and it doesn't work. It doesn't land. It's not working for you. So you give up. But what happens if that 101 time was the time that everything changed? Something happened, something was different. And that's also why it's so important to never give up, because you just have absolutely no idea what is on the other side of not giving up. And when you do think about giving up and all the different reasons where your life will go, and if they start to scare you and you think, "Oh god, no, I don't want that. I don't want that for my life. I don't want it to be like that." Well, then that, like you said, that should give you the incentive to never give up, to keep fighting, to keep whatever it is, to keep going. Because when you look back on anyone's life, when you look back, think about all the times where maybe you were about to give up on something and you didn't, and you got through it. Every time we get into another darkness in our life, or something else is happening, or something goes wrong, we kind of forget about our past and we forget about every other situation we have made it through. Every situation we have fought through and things have happened. So when we are going through a dark time, know that you've been through something. If you have been through something in the past, you made it through. You're gonna get through it this time. It might be a very different outcome, might be, and you're probably gonna become a very different person afterwards, because that happens a lot of times after we go through things. But that's what life is. Life is full of change. Life is full of darkness. Life is full of ups and downs and light and darkness and fear. And I think as human beings, we need fear, because sometimes fear gives us that little kick
Mhm.
to, to do something, to step outside the comfort zone, to be different.
Absolutely. Um, I think, some years ago, I saw a motivational speaker, and I think he may be, popular internationally, Anthony Robbins. I saw him in, Fort Lauderdale, and he came down the aisle, and he was, standing very close to me, and he made a statement that really has stuck with me my whole life, is that you hear people say, "I've got a case of the Mondays. I hate Mondays." And maybe, it's a great marketing thing now to see, characters with a sign, "I hate Mondays," or what have you. But he said, "Why should you hate Mondays? Why should you dread Mondays or Tuesdays and just look forward to the weekend, Friday, Saturday? That's going to be my great day. I can be outside. I can be with family. I can be doing things. What's wrong with Monday? Monday, the sun can be shining, people are out, people are getting along, you go out for morning coffee, you see people, you talk to people. What is wrong with Monday?" So I never, in any place where I've ever worked, I've never bought into, "I've got a case of the Mondays." And people can say that to you, like when you're waiting online for your coffee, and "I've got a case of the Monday." You have a case of the Mondays. You don't look. You look kind of depressed. No, I don't. I don't. Monday doesn't bother me.
Mm,
I think it's taking that kind of attitude can help you meet up to challenges
mhm,
where, um, whether it be a case of the Mondays, or I've got a case of I got diagnosed with cancer. It can help you meet up to it to say, "This is not going to end me. I'm not guaranteeing anyone that, when you get sick, everything is going to work out perfectly for you, but you can do it.
mhm.
You can do it, face it, and overcome, because I'm an example, and you're an example, and I'm sure there are millions of examples out there."
This is not going to end me. I really, really, really love that. That one, yeah, that one really got to me. I really, really love that. Because you have to tell yourself that. And if you look back on things in the past as well that didn't end you, this is not going to end me. So That's really one to hold on to through the darkness. Even if it's that tiny little glimmer of hope or light, if just telling yourself this is not going to end me, is a it's a really really nice phrase. And I just want to also mention or talk about, again, you mentioned this to me before. You also had a stroke
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Yeah, I think, again, I need to get a message out to people when you have high blood pressure or you've been diagnosed with it. I think when I first went to a doctor and he said, "I'm gonna check your blood pressure," and I was like, "What? Why?" But it's important. It's important to, especially as you get a little bit older, um, to do things like that because you can be reacting to stress, and your pressure can go up. When your pressure reaches a certain point and then stays that way, like it did with me, because I wasn't taking the proper medicine and probably didn't get it on time, you can get a stroke. Fortunately, mine did not paralyze me, but I did uh, lose most of the vision in my left eye. So it has had um, a bit of an effect. My dad admitted that he stopped taking his blood pressure medicine for a while, and then he went to his retiree job and was getting out of his car and walking to the door and felt his right arm go numb and go limp, and then he felt his face kind of tighten up, and sure enough, he had a stroke right there in the parking lot. Fortunately, he had good folks who helped him out and got to a hospital. He did wind up getting paralyzed on his left side and wound up spending the rest of his life in a wheelchair. But he admitted to stop taking medicine. So again, a message out to people that check this. If you go to a doctor and you get diagnosed, take care of it. Don't put priorities of, oh, this is gonna cut into my daily wine or my daily gin and tonic or my beer, um, or this is gonna cut into me, smoking a couple of cigarettes. Cut into it
Mm.
because this is important. These kind of things can happen, and they can happen even at a younger age.
Mhm.
Just as you can get diagnosed with cancer, you can have a stroke at a younger age. Um, and again, I don't mean to be maudlin. I'm just want to get a message out to folks that take care of yourself, and that I'm an example, being that I'm here talking to you about it.
Mhm. Mhm. And like that's what we've said about everything. You are here. With everything you've been through, you are here. We're talking about it. You have fought things. You've had the bravery and the strength, and you are here. And we'll, as collectively, we'll all keep going. We'll keep fighting. We'll keep being brave, and we'll keep enjoying life, and we will keep going. And like you said, I'm here. We're here. We're here. And it's not about being. I think you mentioned about how you don't want to be a model in this respect, but I take it. I'm telling you, even if I'm telling you, just take it. Feel it. Like, because you are here. So take it, own it, be proud of it. Because who knows, please God, maybe somebody that does listens to this, who knows how it can affect them. Maybe even save someone's life. And just take it. Just take it. Please, just take it.
Okay, I'm very humble, and I'm very humble when it comes to things like this. But yes, I mean that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason why I mention these things. To I hope this touches someone, and I hope this can touch various people. Um, if you're dealing with these challenges in life, yeah, you can do it. Uh, there are examples out there. And yeah, I'll be the example to say that I'm sitting here today and I'm talking to Talia and I'm working, and Um, I'm going on.
Mhm,
Um, I've had all that, and it's in my past, and what I'm dealing with as a result of having those things happen to me is just it. Um, I'm not a doctor, but I'm glad that I've had doctors who have diagnosed me, and we found a way.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, there is a way. There is always a way. And then just want to ask you finally, what advice would you give to somebody? I know we've kind of literally just touched on it, but in a different way, when someone is going through a really, really dark phase, what advice, if just one piece of advice, what would you give to them?
You need to reach out. You need to reach out and talk to someone. And in today's age, and this has happened to me. You get older, you move around, and you don't have that circle of friends that you did at one time.
Mm,
You could talk to them on LinkedIn or social media, but you're not face to face, or you're not speaking on the phone. Reach out and talk to someone. Uh, Even if it means making an emergency call to talk to someone, reach out and find someone to talk to separate yourself from being a loner and dealing with it alone, because that is really the worst thing that you can do, is deal with it alone. So again, we're talking about strength. Dealing with it alone doesn't necessarily make you the strongest, or for you to say, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to deal with this alone. Your decision to take it on is being strong. That's your part in doing it by your choice. But reach out and talk to someone and get some help. You can go to your church, your synagogue, school, uh, classes, what have you. Do something to talk to other people. And you know what? You're going to find people who want to help you out somewhere.
yeah, there are people out there everywhere, and the irony is you said about how a lot of us take things on our own because we think that's strength. The strength actually comes from talking, to being brave enough to say, I need help. I want to talk to someone, or I'm not going through a good time, or this is going on. There is strength in talking to someone and telling someone you're not okay. Admitting to yourself that something's not right, you're not okay, and talking to someone else about it. Even if, again, you don't need them to give you the advice, you just need to talk. You need to be the one to just share. There's a lot of strength in that. And yes, you will always find your people. And, that you said, whether it's through, religion or school or friends or family, or there are helplines. Sometimes it is just calling a helpline. There will always be someone out there, no matter where they are over the world, willing to be there, willing to talk, and willing to help you.
Absolutely. And it's a good choice. Things here in the States are so divided now. With the way the country is, I think a lot of people feel that if I reach out to someone, maybe they won't agree with me politically. They're going to see things differently. Maybe, but don't make those kind of predeterminations. Just reach out and talk to someone, and someone with the complete opposite of what you feel politically and socially can still act as a person and help you out.
I absolutely agree. You hit the nail on the head there. I agree. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share today?
No, I really appreciate being on with you and what you're doing. I think it's wonderful, and I think more people should uh, check out all of your podcasts.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Talia.
Thank you for being here today. Life will knock us down, sometimes hard, and sometimes more than once. And when it feels impossible, know that your story isn't over yet. Sometimes, when everything is falling apart, it's really falling into place. You have the power to rise, to heal, to make magic, and to evolve. And you have the power inside you. We all do. You have the power to get back up.